You know, when there's holiday sales, and comic shop sales, and Barnes & Noble sales, you realize it's a good time to catch up on some stuff.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to the comic book haul for December 2025. There was a few new releases in December for me, but honestly not as much as past months, and I took some time to catch up between multiple sales that were going on, and there also was some stuff from November that didn't quite show up yet, because I ordered them and they hadn't arrived in time for the November haul. So there's plenty of cool stuff to take a look at, and a lot bigger variety of publishers this time. It's not so Marvel DC heavy as we've done before. I've got a lot of stuff from other publishers, so this is guaranteed to be an interesting comic haul where I hope you don't see too much what's coming, because I think it will be fun. So if you enjoy these videos, be sure to the like button, hit subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future comic videos. I know there was lighter comic videos in December of 2025. There's going to be definitely some more in the new year. Let's take a look at the comic haul for December. As always, let's start with manga. We've got Kaiju number 8, Relax, Volume 1. This is a collection of stories that are just between the scenes type things with the Kaiju number 8 characters doing random, crazy, comedy-based stuff. It's kind of nice to see the characters relax, not to fight monsters so much, not their lives in danger. It's fun. If you enjoy these characters, you'll enjoy this for sure. This is an ongoing series in Japan, so no idea how long it's going to run, but the interesting part is I don't believe it's on the Shonen Jump app, like the rest of Kaiju number 8 is, and B-Side is, but Relax is first time to print, I think, and I enjoyed reading it. All right, Barnes & Noble was doing 25% off the whole store post-Christmas, so I thought, let's get some Dragon Ball. Basically, I have not had a complete set of Dragon Ball manga at all, because there's a lot of issues with the Dragon Ball manga from Viz. First of all, they haven't updated the translation in 20 plus years. Yeah, they're still using the same translation, I think from 1998, where one of the translators and scriptwriters is in jail for horrible crimes. And so because of that, I've always wanted Dragon Ball to get like a modern reprint that's maybe completely uncensored, because every edition's a little different, and it hasn't happened. So at some point I gotta like suck it up and get a version. At least that's what I thought. So I thought I'd go with the Viz Bigs. This is actually the fourth one I've gotten. This is volume 5. I have 1 to 3 and 5. They do the annoying thing of they split Dragon Ball between Dragon Ball and Z to match the anime, even though this is a 42 volume manga. They're like, it's the final volume, so it gets to volume 16. I'm like, no, 17 through 42, you just call Dragon Ball Z for some reason. Anyways, why Viz Big? Larger print size when you compare to normal manga size, which I like. Thicker paper. It's got color pages. It doesn't have like every color page, but it has most of the color pages, which I think look really nice. It is the best way to appreciate Kira Toriyama's art, because the translation isn't anything worth appreciating. It needs updating, but this is like, I think, the best presentation of the art overall. And honestly, it's funny because people talk about these being still censored compared to like the single volumes and such, but they still keep like a lot of it. They just censor out middle fingers for some reason. Like that was the line too far. Anyways, I decided to just get whatever Barnes & Noble had because there's 9 of these. So this is volume 3 for Dragon Ball Z, which is actually, like I say, that would be volume 8 of overall. But anyways, these basically, each volume has 3 volumes. So you can see this is DBZ 7 through 9. I hate how they're renumbered too, because it's hard to keep track. This one was a 4-in-1 because there's 16 volumes they labeled Dragon Ball, so they made this one thicker because, that's just how it goes. But yeah, it's kind of funny because this is the same cover price of $24.99, but it's a thicker volume by a whole manga volume. Anyways, what's inside here? The thing with me in Dragon Ball is that I've seen this story so many times, I've read this manga before, I've watched the anime in multiple forms, I know the story well, so I don't really have to like worry about like, I gotta get them all in order. I was like, they're on sale, time to start picking them up. This is Namek stuff. So the same goes for volume 4 here, which is the next chunk of volumes. We're fighting Frieza. We're fighting Frieza. Does this have the cool color page of Goku as Super Saiyan with the hair being silver? Because I really love that color scheme. I don't know if it's in here. There he is. He's already Super Saiyan at that point. And yeah, there was this one color page that was really cool that showed Goku like Super Saiyan, but then he was, oh, there it is. I think I just passed it. Yeah, because he's normally got the golden hair, but when the manga was doing its two-color, I think it was a two-color process, they had him with white hair and like different colors overall, and I love the way that looks. I know there's a figure they just made that was like super limited or whatever that had that color scheme, but I think it's just an awesome look, and it's, you know, it's different than what we're used to seeing, but it's kind of cool to see nonetheless. Then the last one I got was Volume 5, because the last one they had. You know, I got, how many more of these to get? I got Volume 4 ordered for Dragon Ball, because I thought, oh look, there, androids. I love the Android saga. I got Volume 4 for Dragon Ball ordered, so I'm like, okay, at least I'm done with the first chunk, and then I just need to get the other 6 of the Z volumes, and then I'll have everything. And hopefully, I would love to see Dragon Ball get like a hardcover. You know, Japan, I believe, in Japan, there is a full color version of the entire manga. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, you know, it'd be really cool to see like a deluxe hardcover, full color, completely retranslated, uncensored version of the Dragon Ball manga. Because Viz relying on the old version for so many years is very irritating, because it's Dragon Ball. Trust me, if they came out with like an edition that was fully uncensored, full color, hardcover, brand new translation, people would buy it. I would buy it all over again, even though I'm just about to finish up buying these, because it's Dragon Ball. It's legendary. It deserves a better treatment. And then also in the manga camp, despite being Wolverine, is Wolverine Snicked. Now this is a manga-style comic book. It was published by Viz. You can see they kind of did this little inlay thing like they did with the Dragon Ball 3-in-1s, or the Viz Bigs there. But this is done by a manga artist who was Tsutomu Nihei. Sorry, I'm not super familiar with Tsutomu Hime. But I believe Blame was the big thing that they did. Anyways, it's a manga-style Wolverine comic, and it's in full color, but I like how it's got, like, you know, Logan's in black and white, so even though, like, the backgrounds are in color, the characters are still kind of presented in black and white. I think it's beautiful. Logan gets transported to, like, a post-apocalyptic future, and he has to, like, fight stuff and do things and figure out what's going on. This was published originally in the early 2000s. Then it didn't get hardly any reprints since, and then Viz put out this edition in 2023 when Viz and Marvel start collaborating to bring more manga out. And my Barnes & Noble has claimed to have this copy for like a year. I've been looking for it. I've been like trying to find it, and then I couldn't find it in the store anywhere, and then it just happened to pop up on the time when it was on sale. So I was like, yes, thank you. I will finally get this. So now we're going to go into the Western comic publishers. What I want to do here is I want to go through the publishers based on how many books I got from each of them, and start with the lowest first and then get to the largest. Usually I do, like, you know, everybody's not Marvel DC and then Marvel DC at the end, but the order may surprise you, because there actually was a lot of stuff I picked up unexpectedly this month. All right, first of all, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles x Naruto. This is the crossover between the Ninja Turtles and Naruto. This was really fun. It takes place in a world where the Ninja Turtles exist in the Naruto universe. They're from the land of the Big Apple. It's really, really funny. But I like it. It's kind of a fun merging of the characters. They get to team up together. The artwork's great and really dynamic. The storyline is well written. I absolutely love April O'Neil's design in this. It's really cool. I really enjoyed this. And it's now in a nice collected form. It was an IDW Viz thing, but it was IDW that published it, since they are the Ninja Turtles. When you're wondering who published the crossover, it's usually whoever gets top billing, right? So Turtles is published by IDW, so IDW published the trade. But I'd check it out if you like both properties. It's definitely a fun time. Speaking of IDW and Turtles, they finally put out the Ultimate Collection Volume 7 in paperback. So the Ultimate Collections, for those that aren't aware, is the original Mirage Comics Ninja Turtles series, but specifically the Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird part, and like the main canon. And they originally did them as big hardcovers, and then later they came around and did paperback editions. And I've been collecting the paperbacks. I didn't think the hardcovers, I didn't like the price on the hardcovers. So I've been doing the paperbacks. Now, Volume 7's kind of funny, because Volume 7 is essentially just an art book. I almost feel like it is just the behind-the-scenes section, because this is essentially all the covers that Eastman and Laird did. It's all like the extra art material, covers, concept sketches, some behind-the-scenes photos of them working, some of the stuff from the movies, like original prototype movie Splinter. It's just kind of a nice little companion volume. It's more art book than comic book, but it's a companion volume. This shot of the Fugitoid cover is the reason for the next book I'll talk about. But yeah, I've been collecting these paperbacks for a while for this collection. They always have like new covers on them, which is cool. So I was kind of curious. I was like, okay, it's been a couple years since Volume 6, and it's been several years since Volume 5. So I thought, let me just bring them out and see if they got the spines lined up, because that's always the thing when you have books. Sometimes even when they're published close together, spines don't always line up. You can also notice the page count shrunk. These all stayed at the same $30 price point over the years, but as the prices went up on everything, the page count went down. But that is that. It's consistent. All the contents in here is the same as the hardcovers, and I really like having these as this. But look at that. It's pretty nice. They did a pretty good job keeping it consistent. Like the red tones are a little off sometimes, but the numbers are correct. They kept the old IDW logo. They didn't put the new one on there, so it's consistent, which I do appreciate. And yeah, these are nice. The size they're printed at is a little funky compared to your normal trade, because, slight spoiler for the next thing, but you can see the normal trade size is a lot smaller. And the reason they did this is because the first 4 issues of TMNT were published at kind of like a magazine tabloid size. I guess I need to zoom the camera out here. They're kind of a magazine tabloid size, so it's made to match those, and then they just blew up the artwork on the later issues to match that. So it's kind of done like that. Now, the cool part about these Ultimate collections is that there is notes from Eastman and Laird on every single issue in them, which is really, really cool to have. And so this, for the longest time, I was like, this is the only version of the Mirage comic I needed. It's got all the major issues. It's got like all the canon stuff, like that sort of thing. But there was something missing. There's a couple things missing, actually, that I wanted. I was looking at that artwork of the Fugitoid cover and then realized that the Fugitoid issue isn't in any of these volumes. And I really like the Fugitoid one-shot they did, and it should be happening between this, and it's not in here. And so I thought, oh, I need to get a copy of the Fugitoid one-shot. And that's where the TMNT Compendium Volume 1 comes in. So these came out a couple years back, and I didn't pick this up initially. The Compendium volume is different than the Ultimate collection. It is not the size of the Ultimate. The Ultimate collection, I guess they're about the same height-wise. It's not as wide. You can kind of see, let me try to figure out how to do this. These are big books. You can see how it's not quite as wide as the Ultimate collections. These are hardcovers, and there's 3 of these, but this is a different format, and they're essentially kind of like omnibuses. Ninja Turtles Compendium, IDW calls them compendiums, but they're closer to omnibuses. They're the same size as omnibuses from Marvel, DC, that sort of thing. And then for about 800 pages, they had this $150 cover price, which seemed a little high. IDW's stuff just price is a little higher than Marvel, DC, smaller publisher and stuff. I thought this was a little high for the page count, so I didn't get it. And then I didn't get Volume 2, and I didn't get Volume 3. And then I was like looking through the Ultimate Collection Volume 7, and I was like, I really want the Fugitoid one-shot. And then I was like, okay, but I don't have Tales of the TMNT 1 to 15, and I actually don't have all of these issues. I see it has 1 to 7 and 9 to 14. So I thought, okay, I have about half this volume. I would like to have the whole thing. So I went and checked on Amazon, and and all 3 of the Mirage compendiums were on like some post-holiday sale for 60% off. So I thought, oh, well, in that case, yeah, let me go for it, because I'm not paying full cover price. I'm kind of just paying for what I want. I kind of want to do a video about the Mirage Comics collections, because there's a little inconsistent. There's the rundown. But I actually was like, okay, cool, I'm going to get this. What's really neat is that it is omnibus size, but this is kind of a matte finish paper. It's not quite a newsprint, but it's not like a glossy paper. So the book's not as heavy as an omnibus normally would be. And they also did a pretty good job avoiding gutter loss best they could, because that's what happens with bigger books. You can see how it's pretty met up in the middle. There's a good margin on the pages. But this has everything in chronological order for the most part. And I think that's actually really a cool way to read the Mirage comics, because you get like the Raphael one-shot inserted. Here's the Fugitoid one-shot put in, so that way the Fugitoid one-shot leads into issue 5, which is where the Fugitoid is. You don't need to read the Fugitoid one-shot. That's why the Ultimate collections are still fine. But it's nice to have it in this order. Now the thing is, there's issue 7, and then after issue 7 is the Michelangelo one-shot. And then you're probably wondering, well, why isn't issue 8 included? And so it goes straight to Donatello. You don't have to read issue 8. This is the thing about Mirage. Eastman and Laird did a lot of it. There's also a lot of it done by guest artists later on. We'll talk about that in the future. But the reason why issue 8 isn't included, it is included here. But it is the reason why is because of the character Cerebus. Now, Cerebus is a character not owned by Eastman and Laird. It was created by Dave Sim, who also worked on this comic. Now, Dave Sim, as a person, ain't great. You can go read his Wikipedia page and find out. So IDW has, for 2 reasons, chosen not to reprint this issue in the more modern editions. The first reason being they don't own Cerebus. Second reason being Dave Sim sucks. So that is why it's not included here. Now, you're not going to get a huge story gap, but basically, if you're wanting to have everything, you're going to have to own the compendiums and the Ultimate Collections, which is where I'm at now, because I have Compendium 2 and 3 on the way. They just didn't make it in December. But the other thing that's missing is that you don't get the Eastman and Laird notes about each issue in the compendiums. So, you're going to have to take a look and see, figure out what's important to you. The compendiums are more complete for everything, whereas the Ultimates are more for just kind of getting to the point. Also, the compendiums have nice sewn-in ribbons, bookmarks, which I like. And also, I got this yesterday, and I read this whole first half of it in one sitting because it's really enjoyable. I've read it before, and rereading comics sometimes is even more fun than reading comics you have read because you kind of know what's going on. You can kind of go through it a little quicker, but enjoyable stuff for what's ultimately my second favorite Turtles run is the original Mirage after the IDW. I do like this series a lot. All right, who's up next? Dark Horse Comics. So I haven't been collecting Star Wars comics in a while, but every once in a while a series pops up that I need to own, like Hyperspace Stories, Bad Batch Ghost Agents. So Dark Horse publishes what are supposed to be more all-ages friendly Star Wars comics, but they're honestly really enjoyable. They're not like kiddie comics. They are, still done with, there's Asajj Ventress. They're still done with, kind of the same level of maturity you'd expect from the normal Star Wars comics. And Marvel's publishing less and less. Dark Horse is publishing more and more. But basically, we got a Bad Batch miniseries here. Takes place during the Clone Wars, so before the Bad Batch series. And it's just another adventure with these characters that I wanted to see because I loved the series. I loved the setup for them in the Clone Wars. And apparently this did well because we're getting a second one of these soon, which I'm really looking forward to because I really quite enjoyed the first volume. All right, so I was picking up some stuff to fill out orders. This was on sale, Hellboy and the BPRD, Beast of Vargu, and others. This is a collection of Hellboy and BPRD stories. These haven't hit an Omnibus collection yet, which is what I usually do with the Hellboy stuff, is I wait for the omnibuses. But, I was like, okay, well, it's half off. I'm trying to get free shipping on an order. Might as well toss it in. We have Frankenstein New World Volume 2, The Sea of Forever, collecting Frankenstein New World, The Sea of Forever. This is interesting because the character Frankenstein in the Hellboy universe is immortal, and this is showing him after the end of the world. So it's kind of a fun series. This is the second volume of this, and they've been doing them in standard hardcovers to start, so I'm kind of just going to keep going with them, even though it's not an indicator anymore, because I thought, if it's getting a standard hardcover, it's not getting an omnibus, and yet 2 volumes are coming out in the upcoming Koshé the Deathless omnibus, so who knows anymore. I'm just going to keep getting these. I mean, they're not badly priced, so it's like, yeah, I'll just deal with it when I deal with it. When I get duplicates, that's the time to trade it in. So next publisher happened because my comic shop was having a sale, and that's Dynamite Comics. So Dynamite has had a rocky history doing trades lately with the whole Diamond Comics distribution going under and all kinds of other things. So I picked up the only Thundercats trades that have come out so far for the current series. This first one is Volume 1, Roar, which is the current Thundercats comic. This only has issues 1 to 5. And then we got, that was Volume 1, Omens. Volume 2, Roar, which is issues 6 to 10, I believe. And then it has all the covers in the back, which I think is cool, because they put out like 100 covers per issue for this. This is a modern telling of Thundercats. This starts very kind of standard, what you'd expect if you're familiar with Thundercats. But it starts to become really interesting as it goes along, and I find it to be really cool. They also did a Cheetara miniseries here, which was a backstory flashback for Cheetara that plays into the current stuff as well. which is really nice. But unfortunately, they haven't seemingly released Volume 3, 4, 5. There's a bunch of one-shots. There's the Thundercats Lost ongoing. There's a Silverhawks comic that takes place in the same universe. And they're just moving ahead with the single-issue stuff, but this is all that has existed for trades. And that's kind of a problem, I think. It's also an issue with the Elvira stuff. It's also an issue with Space Ghost. It's also an issue with Gargoyles. Nothing's coming out. Even though they put it on the schedule, they say it's coming out. You can order it like on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but then they might cancel your order because they just don't get it. And so they're not fulfilling their orders on trades. And so it's hard to say what is actually out there. But like a lot of people have said, nobody's got Volume 3 of Thundercats. So they're really behind on the trades. I hope they get that situation solved in the future. I've been buying these in singles, but I thought, well, I might as well just at least catch up so that eventually they'll come out and trade, right? Same sale, I also picked up this 007 Book 1, Myrmidon. This is Philip Kennedy Johnson doing a take on James Bond. Feels very Ian Fleming Bond inspired, like the actual novels. I thought it was all right. I think it's weird because it's called Book 1, but it's not really the beginning of the story. It's clearly got other stories in this universe, and then it leads into another story, which is kind of like, I don't even know where to get it at, because again, Dynamite and their trade collections has been a complete disaster. So, and then like they list all these in the back, and I'm like, what is all connected in the same universe? Can't quite figure that out. It didn't have the nature that a Bond story should. I feel like every Bond story should be standalone. Like, obviously, you could have, like, little ties and connections, but you should never watch a James Bond movie or read a James Bond story and go, wow, I don't understand what's going on. And I kind of felt like that while reading it, and I'm pretty familiar with Bond and the universe and the lore and the characters. So, yeah, kind of not quite my jam, and if I run across other volumes, I might pick them up, but I'm not really going to be out seeking them out. All right, what publisher is next? Surprisingly, Marvel. Didn't have that much this month. So first of all, I got Marvel Rivals Infinity. This is a collection of the first 3 Marvel Rivals one-shots that are recollecting the Marvel Unlimited Marvel Rivals comic, which is a vertical comic, so you can kind of see like vertical page. But this has been fun. If you enjoy the Marvel Rivals game, this has been kind of extra lore and character universe stuff. I've been reading these digitally. And then I picked up the single issues, so I wasn't sure if they're going to do a trade. Now they're doing a trade here, which is nice. This also contains the Peach Momoko Marvel Rivals Ignite one-shot, which was done as a traditional comic style first. And this is actually using all of her designs for the game that she did for those skins, and kind of putting some lore and character behind them, which I think is awesome. You can see it also advertises Peach Momoko's Demon Days. Also, I realized I did not redeem my Jeff in-game spray. I need to do that, and I will do that later today. But yeah, it's kind of cool to have all of these like this. There's another volume of this coming out. Of note, these are digest size, so they are smaller than the standard trades, which makes some sense. You want to be able to have these accessible and easy for people to pick up that have been playing the game. You know, $15.99 cover price isn't too bad, but it's also like kind of shrimpy. It's not competing with the DC Compact, that's for sure, but it's fun to pick up if you enjoy the game. All right, Giant Size X-Men Tribute to Wayne and Cockrum. This is another sale pickup to fill out an order. But this was basically what they did, is that for the anniversary of Giant Size X-Men, they went and redid the first issue. So the idea here is that you have new artists coming in and doing redoing all the art for Giant Size X-Men. Not redoing it as in like make it better, but redoing it as in like a tribute, right? So like Alex Ross did page 1 here, right? And so each artist does their take on a page of the original Giant Size X-Men one-shot that is, you know, where the X-Men were reborn and leads to their popularity today. It debuted Storm and Nightcrawler and Colossus, and it added Wolverine to the team, and it's really a fantastic issue, and so you kind of see a reinterpretation of it. Then it includes the original, which I think is awesome, because then that way you can read the original comic right after. And then it contains all the covers they did for it. They have kind of discussion with Chris Claremont, who was involved with that before going into his run. Then they kind of talk about how they basically decided to do this project as like it's a cover album, right? You know, for music, you could have like an artist do covers of songs. Well, what if we do that with comic book artists? And that's kind of what it is. And then you get a comment from each artist about their inspirations, how they decided to do this page, why they wanted to do this particular page, and everything involved. So it's a really cool volume to get. I think this is great. It also has got some Dave Cochran art in the back, and like, you know, original designs he didn't end up using. There's like him designing the best Nightcrawler costume of all time, which is the first one, which is why nobody hardly ever changes it. And then it's got some other cool backup stuff in here. I think this is awesome. Why is it $30? X-Men tax is real, and it's a problem. This book ain't thick enough. This is technically the same comic 3 times. Why is it $30? I got it for $15. That actually felt like that was the price it should have been sold at. Okay, so I've been kind of hooked on the black, white, and red concept, or in this case, black, white, and blood. Yeah, the Star Wars one's called black, white, and red, and then the Marvel one's called black, white, and blood. I've been kind of picking up the Treasury editions of the Star Wars editions, and I know they've done a bunch of these for, like, Marvel characters. I hadn't gotten any yet. I decided to get Elektra, because I have, like, you know, I've got a pretty substantial collection of Elektra trades. I think I have almost all of the modern ones. So this is, I don't know how much of this I can actually show, but this is Elektra doing Elektra stuff, fighting people, killing ninjas, doing things, going through serious subject matters, and beautiful artwork all around. It's a fun time. I got it on sale too, which was nice. But yeah, I didn't get the Treasury edition because it's been sold out for a while. But I was like, oh, let me get the regular trade. I might start just getting these coming up. Like, I know there's a Logan one coming, so I'll probably end up with that one. All right, what if Marvel and Disney? So this is a bunch of one-shots they did. They had done some covers of what if the Disney characters were Marvel heroes, and everybody's like, why not make an actual comic? So they did, and these were a bunch of what-ifs of characters, like what if Donald Duck became Wolverine, which surprisingly works. They both have anger issues. And then you also have, like, Mickey as Hawkeye in here. Sometimes they're a little awkwardly written. Like, I think, like, some of these character names are crazy. Like, I think his name is literally Mickey Hawkeye, and then his name is Donald Wolverine. Feels weird. They stopped doing that after a certain point, but it is kind of funny that some of the way that they do things because of legal reasons. We got Donald Duck became Thor. So these are all one-shots that came out. This What If Minnie Became Captain Marvel is more like a What If Minnie Became Miss Marvel, because Carol Danvers wasn't Captain Marvel at the time that they're referencing here. Also, Pete is the Scorpion. So these are really fun. If you like the Mickey and Friends characters and you like Marvel characters, you'll enjoy these. What if Mickey and Friends became Fantastic Four? What if they became the Avengers? I think the last one was like, what if Goofy became Spider-Man? I think that's kind of fun as well. So yeah, this is really cool, and $25. Somehow 30. It's a thicker book for $25, and it's got Disney licensing. Anyways, check this out if you enjoy this kind of crossover mashup. I think this was really fun. All right, I got one epic collection, Hawkeye Marked for Death. Now, this is a big deal for me. Not because of the comics inside, I haven't read it yet, but this is a big deal for me because this is the first ever epic collection series I have finished. That's more than one volume because Dark Avengers doesn't count. I have all the Hawkeye epics. I have all 4 of them. There's only 4 they can make. It's the first epic line that I've been collecting that's actually completed by Marvel, and I have them all, and I'm very, very happy about that. That is a goal I've been sort of working towards for years. There's very few complete epic lines. See my Epic Collection Gaps video for more. But this is now one of them. We have all 4 Hawkeye epics because Volume 4 leads right into Modern Volume 1. This is the issues 22 through 40 of Avengers Spotlight, which is a series that featured 2 stories in each book. So you'd get a story of Hawkeye, and then you get a story of somebody else doing something else. Like, so you got Hawkeye, but then also U.S. Agent. And what's really nice, what Marvel did here is they could have just made it just the Hawkeye halves of the issues, but you actually do get the Hawkeye story, and then you also get the second story. So if it's got, you know, there's Hawkeye, but then there's like an Avengers story in there, or whatever it is. They include the full issues. And so that way, these 2 volumes, volumes 2 and 3, are essentially the Avengers Spotlight epics, and I think that's really cool. But it's just so cool I finished an epic collection line. I'm sure Fantastic Four will be next, right? No, there's still like at least 7 more. Now, surprisingly, DC is up next. All right, so we got Green Lantern Corps Volume 1. This is Morgan Hampton and Jeremy Adams co-writing. This is basically expanding out the Green Lantern after the, what was it? Fractured Spectrum event. Was that what it was? Oh, after Civil Core. Fractured Spectrum. Man, that is tripping me up. Comes later. But anyways, this is the next volume of Green Lantern. I really like this series. I think it's really fun. We got a new Green Lantern who is like basically an anime mascot character, who also has like a really cool superpower, and I want to show you all what he does when he gets into fights because I think it's awesome, and I feel like we need to have toys of him immediately. Also, Space Cabbie is back. There is a lot of fun in this. There he is. Look. He digivolves. He's a Digimon, basically. We have a Digimon Green Lantern now. It's awesome. I love it. Fun comic. Fun times. All right, we got Batgirl, Volume 1, Mother. Cassandra Cain was given a new solo book, which is always great because Cassandra Cain is one of the best characters and also one of the best Batgirls. And so she's been given a solo book, which is nice to see because I feel like Barbara gets too many solo books. And this also was happening at the same time she was a lead in Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey's now ended. Cassandra Cain's Batgirl still going. So this is the first 6 issues. It deals a lot of stuff to deal with Lady Shiva, her mother. And if you are a Cassandra Cain fan, you will enjoy this because I'm a Cassandra Cain fan and I enjoy this. So it's good to see her back in a solo book. All right, these are at the comic shop sale. We got Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night. As it basically says, it's Batman teaming up with Santa Claus, and they fight Krampus, and they go for the holidays. And Superman gets jealous that Batman already knew Santa and didn't tell him. It's adorable. It's fun. It's a great holiday classic, and it's also pretty epic, especially because you got really awesome artwork. And then I also got the sequel, Silent Night Returns, which is a fun follow-up as well. These took forever to come to single for trade paperbacks because they would do them in singles for Christmas, and then the trade would come the following Christmas. But this is a nice sequel as well. They haven't done a third one. Kind of feel like they might at some point, but this one has a bunch of characters in it. As you can see, it's not just Batman. Like the whole dang DC universe is in for this one. Good times, fun times, good holiday enjoyment for everyone. I waited for this to go on sale, and it paid off. It went on sale for half off. It's Batman 89 Echoes. So I hadn't read this in singles, but I'd read the first Batman 89 series, which I quite enjoyed. The idea behind it was a sequel to Batman Returns, and the first 89 series was about Two-Face, but it also featured some other characters. So it was like Two-Face and a couple other villains, and sort of expanded out the characters in that world. Sam Hamm, who had written for the Batman movies, had done it, so I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it. I thought it had a nice, closed focus. I thought with this one, okay, we're doing Harley Quinn, we're doing Scarecrow. Doing 2 villains in a movie was kind of the thing we did in the 90s, and I thought, all right, let's do it. They'd already kind of set up Harley in 89, so that made sense. And then as I read this, it just kept getting messier and messier and messier and messier to the point where I stopped caring about whatever happened. Unfortunately, there was way too much going on. There are so many villains in this. Riddler pops up in this. We've also got Catwoman back, but she's not like a villain anymore. There's a whole complicated storyline going on with Bruce. We have our Robin that was introduced in the previous one showing up. We also get a Batgirl. And I gotta tell you, this basically just became like what the problem is with the later Batman movies, where they just start putting too much stuff in, and it just doesn't really feel special anymore. Yeah, they kind of just ran into the same exact issue. By the way, it has a VHS tape cover, which I think is kind of neat. But yeah, I enjoyed the first one a lot. Didn't enjoy this one as much. It just got so bloated, I stopped caring about things. But I do like the Batgirl costume design quite a bit there overall. So yeah, I just wish it was a little bit stronger. And then my last DC book, which was at my comic shop on sale, was the Robin, Son of Batman by Patrick Gleason, the deluxe edition. This was a Damian Wayne focused series where Damian got this big old dude named Goliath, who is awesome. He is best boy. Look at him. Damian treats him like a dog, but like he's so cool. He's like a dragon-winged creature. So this is a fun solo series for Damian post-resurrection, and it has a lot of good heart in it, a lot of fun characters. With it being Patrick Gleason, it does have a little bit of similarity and overlap to the Super Sons series that happened concurrently. And this actually does contain the whole Damian series, which is 13 issues, plus the 2 issues of Superman that establish the Super Sons. So it makes it for a nice companion volume to everything else. So if you have like the Batman and Robin by Tomasi and Gleason Omnibus, if you have the Super Sons Omnibus, if you have the Superman stuff from Rebirth era, it goes alongside all of that quite nicely, which is why I picked it up. It's essentially the Omnibus edition for this series, because there's not really anything else you could add to this. It is the entire series, plus the appropriate crossovers, and that is super fun. And the publisher I got the most comics from this month, Image. What a surprise, like legitimately, I don't think I bought this much Image stuff at once. First up, Spawn Compendium 7. It actually did go on sale, which is what I was kind of hoping for. These are kept pretty evergreen, because this is kind of like primary way of collecting Spawn. There, of course, are hardcovers, there, of course, are trade paperbacks, but you can get 50 issues of Spawn for $60 in a paperback. So why not? This contains issues 302 to 350. I guess that means it's 49 issues, but the last one had 51 issues, so that's fine. This is 302 to 350. Spawn is not that much further ahead of this. I think we're only in the 360s at this point. The 350th issue was a pretty big deal. I've been reading weekly, I think, since 319 or something like that. Or monthly, I should say. It feels weekly because there's like 4 ongoing Spawn comics. But I've been reading since like 319. So this volume sort of will allow me to catch up on the Spawn stuff. You can see Haunt there, because Haunt starts to become a part of this story in a major way in this volume. But this is as close as we can get. We haven't gotten to 400 issues of Spawn yet. So there's no way they can do a Compendium 8 yet. But I'm sure they will eventually. But yeah, if you're trying to read Spawn, this is kind of the best way, because you get a big, thick paperback for $60. The only downside, there's no covers, which doesn't bother me as much as I think it would, but there's no individual covers for the issues, I think, to keep the page count. It is on nice, thick, glossy paper, so this thing is a brick. So it's a self-defense weapon as well, which is neat. Yeah, caught up on the Spawn compendiums there for the main series. And they've been doing complete collections and compendiums for some of the spin-off comics, but none of them really like catch my eye, catch my attention of like, oh, I really need that. But I did want to get Haunt. I like the character of Haunt in the Spawn comics, and I thought, I kind of want to read his original solo book. I'd read one issue of it years ago. I had like a free sampler of it, and I was like, oh, and I never actually went back down the rabbit hole to read it. But the Haunt Complete Collection came out, and you get all 28 issues for $50, which is, again, not too bad. And unlike the Spawn compendiums, this actually does have the covers included, which I think is nice. Now, I can't flip through most of this book because it's mature for a very good reason, but let's talk about it from the back description here. So it's all about what they call it, an unsaintly priest, because he's kind of a really bad priest. He gets dragged into a whole life because his estranged brother dies, and then his ghost starts haunting him. And then when they fuse together, they become Haunt, a supernatural hero. And so you have him talking to his brother all the time. This was actually co-created by Robert Kirkman and Ryan Ottley from Invincible fame, which I think is awesome. Greg Capullo did a bunch of issues. Todd McFarlane did some stuff. And then it sort of has a bit of a problem. And I'll tell you what that problem is. It's this. So you have Robert Kirkman on the first 18 issues, and then at issue 19 it becomes Joe Casey, and they switch artists from Greg Capullo to Nathan Fox. I really wanted to love this all the way through, but couldn't quite do it. So I thought when it started, I was like, okay, this is all right. It's actually interesting. It's an intriguing concept, and as it progressed, I thought it was getting really cool. It was starting to get a little safe, though. I was like, okay, they need a big shakeup, and so when Joe Casey came in, it was the kind of shakeup I hate, which was throw everything out about the series and do something completely different. And so I stopped enjoying it after issue 18. The last 10 issues to me feel like a completely different comic, and I hate when that happens. There's ways to pivot a story without completely dumping it. They dumped the entire supporting cast, they killed off a couple major characters, and then just started making something else, and it never was compelling enough to justify throwing away all the setup that had already existed. And a bunch of characters vanish with no explanation, and it's everything I hate about comics when they do that. And it's a bummer, because I feel like this series had a lot of potential, and I was really enjoying it, and then the later part of it, I stopped enjoying it, and the final issue might be one of the worst comics I've ever read. It ends so inconclusively, I have no idea what actually happened, and then he sort of got soft rebooted when he showed up in the Spawn comics, so kind of a bummer, but I did enjoy those first 18 at least. They were a fun read. They weren't the greatest comic, but they were kind of a fun, schlocky read, and I did enjoy that. So let me talk more positive. The Astounding Wolfman Compendium. So the Invincible universe, compendiums continuing, which is actually great. So we had gotten the main 3 Invincible compendiums years ago, and they keep them in print. Then we got an Invincible Universe compendium, and now we're on to the Astounding Wolfman. I'll explain all that in a video someday. I kind of want to do a video on the Invincible stuff, maybe when the show comes back. Unfortunately, this isn't a sticker. It's there forever. I wish it was a sticker. I don't like it too much. It's glaring. It's like, go watch the Invincible show. I'm like, yeah. They're like, as seen on TV, and it's like, yeah, Astounding Wolfman had like, I don't know, 2 minutes of screen time and he didn't have a voice yet. Like, I hope he's in season 4 to justify putting a permanent advertisement on the front of my comic. Anyways, this is the entire Astounding Wolfman series by Robert Kirkman and Jason Howard. I loved this. I love werewolf stories, and I loved how different this was. This is kind of a fun werewolf story. It's all, by the way, it's all 25 issues plus the Invincible crossover for $40, which is awesome. That's great. Love that pricing. So this is about a man who gets attacked on a trip, and it's like, oh, he got attacked. Oh no, he got attacked by a bear. But then he wakes up later, and he finds out that he was not mauled by a bear, which, yeah, it's fun. It's Ryan Otley artwork. He's not mauled by a bear. He actually is a werewolf. So he is a werewolf, and the way this progresses is he ends up going through some stuff, and he ends up becoming a werewolf and then wants to be a werewolf superhero. And he gets advice from a vampire who sort of leads him astray in some places. And the way it kind of works out is that he wants to be a hero. And he really kind of starts to make it work. And he starts to make it work, but then the werewolf curse means that it doesn't always work out. And then so it sort of backfires on him. But he teams up with Invincible, and Invincible's like, I don't know if I should trust you. Everyone said you killed all these people. And he's like, do you ever feel like you put your trust in somebody and then they let you down so bad that you just question if anything you do is right? And then Invincible's just like, yeah. And then they bond over it. It's great. So I really did enjoy this series. A lot of people get stabbed in this, by the way. Not all of them survive, but not all of them die either. I enjoyed this quite a bit. It's got a lot of drama to it. It's got a lot of surprise, shocking twists. But I thought it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I'd been meaning to check this out for years, and this compendium was the perfect way to do it. But you know what was even more fun? I didn't enjoy it as much, but I thought this was more fun. Tech Jacket. I'd never read Tech Jacket. Also, once again, non-speaking cameo in Season 3. I'm hoping more Tech Jacket in Season 4. Tech Jacket's really fun. This is taking a different vibe. Wolfman was definitely, by the way, $40, and you get all 23 issues of Tech Jacket from across its 3 series. So this is kind of takes a more fun vibe. This is once again Kirkman for part of it. It's Kirkman to start, and then Joe Keating, I think, actually made it more interesting. E.J. Su did most of the artwork for the original series, and Kerry Randolph did the rest of it. But anyways, you have a teenager who ends up collecting this armor from space called a Tech Jacket, which is where his powers come from. And it's got a bit of a Green Lantern vibe, a bit of a Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle vibe, of like, oh, now he's involved in this intergalactic stuff. And this book is just fun. It really is a lot of fun. You have a nice dynamic with his family and his friends. He starts meeting people in space, working with other Tech Jackets. Like, there's a lot of fun and a lot of good character growth. He starts from a high school student, becomes, you know, a young adult by the end of it. And I think the character growth is great. I think the characters are fun. I think especially in the second half, it gets really engaging. I think Kirkman kind of got it rolling and got it started, but Keating really took it and just kind of ran with it and made this a really fun comic that made me wish it ran a little bit longer. But yeah, if you want a fun book that's space sci-fi adventure, a lot of fun action, and it's not too violent. Wolfman's definitely more Invincible level violent. Not quite Invincible level violence, a little bit less violent, surprisingly. It's about werewolf. But this is definitely not as violent, but I really did enjoy this. I would highly recommend Tech Jacket. I thought it was excellent. Then continuing this, the Invincible Universe Battle Beast, Volume 1. So I decided not to get Battle Beast in singles. I have enough single-issue books to read. But this is, yet again, Kirkman and Otley. Battle Beast was a character that sort of, you know, he was in the original Invincible comic, of course. But he was more famous because they put him into the Invincible TV show, and he was voiced by Michael Dorn. And I love it, because he's so cool. And every time I read this comic, I just hear Michael Dorn's voice, and that's delightful. But basically, the premise here is that Battle Beast is very irritated at the fact that nobody can give him a true challenge, and nobody can die. Nobody can kill him, I mean. He keeps wiping the floor with his competition. He's like, can someone please kill me already? And he tries, but it's not going well for him. And so they give him a lot of great heart and character. He's got like this noble warrior thing. It's bloody, it's violent, it's fun. I really enjoy it. There's also a ton of like characters from Star Trek cameoing in, you know, legally distinct forms. There's a sketchbook in the back. It's great. I really love this. So like I gotta tell you, like Haunt kind of let me down a little bit. Wolfman lived up to my expectations. Tech Jacket was a surprise fun. Battle Beast lived up to my expectations. I was hoping this would be big and fun. It is big and fun. I look forward to Volume 2 whenever it does come out. I'm sure someday they'll do a compendium of all this, but I don't mind buying it in single volumes if it's going to be this fun every time. And then one last Image book, which is not Invincible or Spawn, it's Dracula, because if I have anything consistent with me, I love my classic monsters. So J.H. Williams III did a storybook portfolio for Dracula, and this essentially is the Dracula story told in a storybook form. Image, words. Image, words. It's gorgeous. That's pretty much all I gotta say. It's the Dracula story told as a storybook, but it's gorgeous. J.H. Williams III, incredible artist, and then also included is the black and white pencils of every piece of artwork in it as well. Beautiful volume. If you love the Dracula story, you want to see it in a new form, a very art-focused form, go for it. It's great. So last time I showed off the Metroid Prime art book and got a lot of comments saying, show us your art books when you get them. Here you go. You asked for this one, folks. Hope you enjoy it. All right, first up, it's not technically an art book, but I'm going to show it. It is the Frankenstein by Insight Editions. So this is, it's funny, the title of the book, just because there's not enough things just titled Frankenstein. It's just called Frankenstein when you look it up, but it's by Insight Editions. And this is the behind-the-scenes book for the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein that came out on Netflix this year. One of my favorite movies of the year. Absolutely adored this film. I love Guillermo del Toro's work, and I love the Frankenstein story. And so this is technically an art book, because, look, artwork, but it is behind-the-scenes on the steps of production. So there's like a chapter on production design, and there's more about production design. You got behind the scenes sketches, and you got artwork, and you got behind the scenes photos, and you got like, here's a costume design thing about the veil that Elizabeth was wearing. So you've got that as like an insert, and it's Insight Edition, so you get all kinds of beautiful fold outs and everything like that. Absolutely love their books. I absolutely do not buy their books on the frequent because of how expensive they are, because of how beautiful they are. This was a $75 book, and it sold out so quick that I decided to back order it because I was worried it would never go on discount. Like, I normally buy art books on discount, but I was worried about this one never coming back, so I ended up back ordering it, and it came in like a month sooner. So that took some budget readjustment, but it is gorgeous. If you love the movie, you'll love the book, but it is an expensive book. Just fair warning, but it is really nice for what you get. All right, back to our normal art books on sale. I got this half off, the Masters of the Universe Revolution. I had an Amazon gift card, and this was half off, and I was like, perfect, I'll go grab this. This is the art book for the second series of Netflix 2D He-Man, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed Revelation. I enjoyed Revolution even more. And this is basically all your like line art, your character art, you know, costumes, props, backgrounds, all that good stuff. They had done a similar one for Revelation, and so this is the Revolution edition of that. This was published by Dark Horse, and it's a very nice volume. Again, goes with the other He-Man art books I have. I really need to do an art book collection video, don't I? I'm going to show you guys what I've got. All right, I've been waiting out the price on this one. Bubblegum Crisis Complete Archive is the Bubblegum Crisis Classic OVA anime. This was published by Udon. Kind of surprising. Bubblegum Crisis is a lesser-known property. This came out around the time of the new Blu-ray by Animego, which I did a review on. You should go check out. I got to get all Bubblegum Crisis people together in one spot. But it's all original Crisis timelines. So you got Bubblegum Crisis, Bubblegum Crash, and AD Police Files. I will show some samples. It's a beautiful book. Sometimes there's things I can't show on screen, but you get all kinds of stuff. You get descriptions of things, and you get some interviews and extra behind-the-scenes info from all the series, which I think is really, really awesome. This was a $60 cover price. I picked it up on sale. That's what I do. I wait for these things to go on sale, except when I can't risk waiting to go on sale, like the Frankenstein, or like the next one, the Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate Complete Works. Go check out my Marvel vs. Capcom roster update video if you want action figures of all the characters. Anyways, Udon put this out. Now, they had originally done a Marvel vs. Capcom art book, I think around the time of Marvel 3, that contained artwork from all the games up to that point. But now this has been updated. Not only has it been reprinted, so it includes all this, but now it includes Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, as well as the artwork from the Marvel vs. Capcom Arcade Classics collection. Cover is very nice. It's flat here, but the logos are raised. Same thing on the spine, the characters are raised, and on the back, the characters are raised, which I think is really nice. This is beautiful. If you love the Marvel vs. Capcom series and you want to have all the artwork in hand like this, you can go for it. They also have some tributes. So there's some stuff that's not in the collection. These are tributes by Udon artists here, which I think is really, really nice. But yeah, you've got everything from marquee pinups and posters and promotional artwork to, see, there's Infinite. You got all that stuff going on. You got individual character artwork for each game. So you can see all the cool Bengus artwork and all the later artwork for the later games. It is funny when you get to the Marvel Infinite, there's no artwork, there's just the renders. That's just how they had to do it, because that's just what was available. You got some cool artwork for the marquees and the banners. It's really, really great. You got a lot of artwork. Now, a lot of this stuff is in the arcade collection, but everything from Marvel 3 and Infinite isn't in the arcade collection galleries. And there's a bunch of other stuff in here that isn't as well. One of my favorite segments is this section where it talks about each character. So you can see that Storm was in Children of the Atom, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, MVC2, MVC3, and Ultimate MVC3. So you can kind of go through the character guide that way, which I think is awesome. It's got also, here's all the character cards, support cards from Marvel 3, which is really nice to have. And then it's got the comic book covers that were the variant covers done, I think, for, I think this was for Marvel 3. Yeah, these are the Marvel 3 variant covers included, and then they also included some of the other ones, like the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite covers, and then also the Arcade Classics collection cover there, which is awesome. So yeah, really great book. I did, I pre-ordered this, and I got it on pre-order because the first book was so out of print and so rare that I thought, yeah, I shouldn't miss the new one, just in case. And my pre-order did get discounted a little bit, so it was worked out. But that's the art books I got, and that's the comic haul. So that was slightly smaller of a haul this time than we've had before. No major omnibuses besides that, which was a little bit unexpected. There was still a couple books that came out that I did not get yet. I haven't got my Transformers compendiums from the Kickstarter. Haven't got my Warlord omnibus, my Green Lantern compendium. Still waiting on those to show up for next month, so you don't want to miss out. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and the notification bell, so you don't miss out on the next comic haul and other comic book videos coming up. I might do a favorite new collected editions in 2025. If people are interested, let me know in the comments. And also, if you want to get a conversation, you can join our Discord server in the link below. You also join as a channel member, get perks like early access to videos. So let's give some special shout-outs to our channel members. Special shout-out to all our channel members, including Captain Tier, Spindash54, Masterbin95, Forever1000, Super Shaddix Boom, Veloquence, Rogue Leader 2448, Mr. Smelly Potato, Archive, Rivers, Common Pikachu, Jamie's World, Showbiz NCNA, EkM, Basil Expedition, Blade, Kyle Birdwell, Alice James, Joe's9789, Fernando Pereira, Levante Jackson, Adrian Montanez, Gobro Fam, C. Hoffman, B. Tub, Killer Noctokusatsu, Amananiqua Do Tempo, Justin Giovanni, and Sonic Doctor. Thank you all for your support of this channel, members and viewers alike. If you so wish, I'm on social media on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. You can also find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643, and you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for comic reviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, see you in the next haul.